Welcome to Natural Born Talents. Today's subject: Wraiths, Whites, Shadow People, Shadow Ghost, and Shadow Demons. Let's start with the most common, the shadow ghosts. Shadow ghosts are people who have passed away and did not leave this world back to their ancestors and linger for one reason or another. It's usually based on emotions. While specters can be of anger and hostility, hatred, and the like, shadow people seem to be hooked by the emotion of loneliness, despair, depression, and so on. Their soul goes through the daily routine without realizing that they are dead. They are somewhat common but hard to see because they are, of course, shadows. In the photograph you see here, I was lucky to get this old woman who was lingering around in the midst of winter with a snowy background in order to see her clearly. And I remember her saying, "Sabishio, watashi sabishio," which in English means, "I'm lonely, I'm lonely." A sad individual indeed. But they are relatively harmless. The next are shadow demons. And shadow demons are just demons taking the form of shadows in order to move quickly. And therefore they are spotted by some people, and they do look similar to shadow ghosts, but move much faster. If you'd like to know more about demons, look up the video Demons if you haven't seen it already. Next is the shadow people, a group of people. They supposedly exist in certain parts of the world as sort of this very dark and probably evil group of people who can only be seen in shadow form. Now, this group I have never synchronized with. I've only heard about them. But apparently they do seem to be very secretive and don't like having people look for them. I have heard they grow very hostile quickly if you approach their group. I've also heard other people seeing these shadow figures or shadow people who are not ghosts but are more human-like because they have a much stronger consciousness than ghosts do. They are very aware of your presence and your existence as well as their own. I hope to synchronize with one of these individuals in order for me to figure out what they really are. Of course, I'll put out a video as soon as I find out. Now, the next two, the Whites and the Wraiths, are somewhat similar and are connected, but I'll start with the Wraith first. The Wraith I have synchronized with many, many, many times. I can't stand these beings. What they do is when they latch on to you, they drain you of your spiritual energy, your life force, or any energy that you may have in your soul at the time. They are very hard to detect. Often when people feel like they are tired, they may believe it's connected to the Wraith, but the kind of fatigue that you would experience from a Wraith is really this lethargic, zombie-like state of consciousness, unable to move, like sleep paralysis. Your consciousness dims, very similar to when you have a demon possess you, and so on. These awful things can be quite dangerous and are much more common than people realize. Dark angels can use the same techniques as well as certain demons and devils, but the Wraith is very, very subtle. Unlike ghosts, they don't make any sounds. Unlike demons, they don't cause any pain. If you do get sensitive enough, like many of the Hyoka empaths, you can feel the actual drain taking place. It is hard to detect, but Soon after, you won't feel like doing anything but sitting down and maybe watching TV, playing games on the computers, talking on the phone, and the like, which encourages the Wraith to continue to attack you. People who live happy, healthy, active lives are less susceptible to Wraiths than those who stay at home alone. To shake off a Wraith isn't that difficult, but when you're tired from doing your daily routine, for example, it is much harder. Now, Wraiths, for the most part, were once human beings. They were corrupted by probably dark angels. Dark angels know how to drain energy from people very easily. This happens in cults all the time. They take the energy from the believers and give it to the cult leader to empower him. Wraiths work the same way. That's why a lot of cult leaders are called parasites, because they're feeding off of their followers. So if the leaders and the followers continue their practices in that way, they are likely to become Wraiths themselves. Their soul darkens. They start to feed off of one another. They sometimes become whites, which are people who have been drained so much, they're in this kind of zombie state where their soul stops creating energy for themselves, and then they need to start feeding off of others. In mythology, the white is usually referred to something like a zombie or a ghoul, but in reality it's just a person who's been drained so much that they start to pick up the same practice as Wraiths do and eventually become Wraiths themselves when they pass. So loving, good people always generate their own energy. When they stop doing this, they start to corrupt themselves. And of course, that can be done in many ways, but the way the Wraith does it is that they over-drain their victim to the point where the victim can no longer generate their own energy and start feeding off of others. And this is what, of course, baby souls do. So in the end, the baby soul becomes a Wraith, or something like it. And this is why they stop spiritually growing. They can no longer create. They can only steal or destroy. So if you enjoy life and you feel like you're getting tired without any medical cause, and you feel like your daily routine is pretty much normal, but you feel like you can't get anything done when you know you could have in the past, your energy isn't like it used to be. And I don't mean because of aging. I mean because there is something that is sucking the life force out of you. Now, the Wraiths are not the only things that do this, so you might want to dig in deep into your daily routine to figure out what might be the cause. And I hope you find the source. Well, that's all for this video. If you have any questions or experiences you'd like to add to this, please leave them in the comment section below. And thanks again for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.